And so begins Earth Hour 2026. First, getting the big boys out of the way. These are my 1 kilowatt high pressure mercury General Electric, I think they're model HLX power floods. Of course, 1000 watt mercury each, 35 watt high pressure sodium. That's a converted, I think, Hubble fixture. Was 150 watt probe start or pulse start metal halide. Add my 35 watt low pressure sodium fluorine beta 5. What's new this year? This isn't my only low pressure sodium fixture. In fact, I don't just have 2. I have 6, which I will get to shortly. 7 if you count just a bare lamp running on a ballast with no fixture. These are Pacific Lighting Products Palomar fixtures. This one's 135 watt. That one's 90 watt. And then I've got my American Electric Model 113 Cobra head. It's 100 watt high pressure sodium. As you can tell by the NEMA tag, this is all more or less original, other than the fact that mice got in it because it's sitting in a shed for about 8 years and stinks a bit inside, but it runs enough to clean, or it runs enough to work. This one actually, another first for this year, or for Earth Hour. This has a DX high pressure sodium lamp, not to be confused with a DX mercury lamp, which uses europium doped yttrium vanadate phosphor. What these lamps do is they increase the sodium vapor pressure by about an order of magnitude, and it bumps up the color rendering index fairly substantially. It's, I think, about somewhere in the 60 to 65 range CRI on these versus 22 for a standard high pressure sodium lamp, at the expense of lamp life. These only last about 15,000 hours versus 24,000 for regular HPS. And luminous efficacy takes a hit. They're about 75 lumens per watt versus a hair over 100 for a regular HPS. And then, as yet another first, I have not 1, but 2 3-color signal heads, and not 1, but 2 beacons, which we will get to. This one is running 44 watt solar electric traffic signal lamps, which are a 6,000 hour equivalent to a standard 40 watt 2,000 hour traffic signal lamp, same brightness, but to make the lamp last 3 times as long, you need to increase the power consumption by 10%. However, these are post-Philips acquisition solar electric lamps, so they're made sometime between 1980 and when the Warren, Pennsylvania Solar Lamp Works closed down in 1991. And of course, it did originally have a 25 watt short neck A19 Osram Sylvania lamp in the yellow, and then 33 watt sign lamps in the red and the green. That's what those lamps are there for. And yes, this one is running, as you already saw, the red plus yellow before green, which, as I've said before, it needs to be adopted into the MUTCD because it's better than just the red to green transition that signal heads over here do. And here's 2 more low pressure sodium fixtures. These are my other 2 Thorn Beta 5s, which have been sitting in storage, but one of these I'm probably going to be putting up this summer for actual use in anger, and the other one is, of course, going to be maintained as a indoor reference specimen. Because naturally I was an idiot and I didn't buy more of these when they were available for, only 60 pounds a piece, plus, almost as much to send them to the other side of the Atlantic. And of course these 2 have frequency agnostic ballast, so they don't care about the 60 cycle versus 50 cycle. And of course also means that I found that the lamp in one of them was bad. These of course came with used poles, so that lamp was not warming up fully, and of course it had leaked because it was noticeably hot for a 35 watt low pressure sodium lamp. But it still strikes a discharge, so I'll use it for experiments and stuff. Then I have my old Regent 175 watt high pressure mercury bucket light. Actually, I think this was my first true factory built HP or HID fixture. Got this late spring, early summer 2008, so that's been in the collection almost 18 years. The lamp, of course, hasn't. That was a used, I think, GTE Sylvania. But I got it for a decent price because it's really hard to find clear mercs nowadays. And then this is, I think, an RAB fixture. This is a 13 watt PL fixture. Not that bad, actually. Probably going to get some more of them because they're available for a decent price if you know where to look. And then this whole smorgasbord of fixtures. This is that FCO wall pack, 100 watt HPS, covered that before. This is a 55 watt low pressure sodium lamp, which is running on the ballast. Really hard to see there, but that is the ballast out of my Thomas Dimplex Super Safe Light, because I did the ballast mod on that safe light, which I'm also using, so I will be covering that shortly. Of replacing that thing with a Fulham Workhorse 3 instant start fluorescent ballast. It drops the weight of the fixture by probably about 10 pounds, and also power consumption goes from anywhere from about 70 to 90 watts down to 37. So it's a remarkable market improvement. But because that, like, American standard 35 watt low pressure sodium ballast is also capable of running 55 watt lamps, because they've got the same 600 milliampere operating current, I'm using it for a 55 watt lamp. Then that is a mini bucket without the lens, because those are kind of fragile and very hard to find for that style of fixture. That's 100 watt mercury. These are some, I think that's a Caster, don't remember who made that, might be a Regent. Then these are some Lithonia 100 watt Mercs, Lithonia 70 watt HPS. That is a RAB Future Flood, because you could buy those about 8-9 years ago. You could buy those for really cheap, like sub $30 a fixture. 71 HPS, I think, might be 50. 70 watt HPS, I think that's a Hubble. And then that's, I think, another Lithonia 71 HPS, and my 50 watt metal halide spotlight. Covered that one before. And as a current reduction trick I'm using for all these lights, I have these 45 microfarad AC film caps connected in parallel with groups of fixtures. And I got one of these Staber shovel floodlights. This one's running a 327 watt Westinghouse. I have a whole bunch of them, and the etches on a number of them aren't in good shape, so I'm not really concerned about using them. PS35 street lighting lamp. And what I've done with this fixture, because these are designed for PS52 lamps, I have a Mogul lamp holder extender in it, because a Mogul lamp holder extender makes the light center length of the whole lamp plus extender about the same as that of the PS52 lamp that these are designed for. And those PS52 lamps start at 750 watts, so it does markedly reduce the power consumption, especially if you don't need, 16 plus kilolumens that you get from a 750 watt lamp. Then I have this thing, which I don't think I've featured in any videos as of yet. This is a test board that I made for small generators and inverters. Normally it has 2 of these 405 watt street lighting lamps in it, which are 6,000 lumen 3,000 hour, which the 327 watt lamp that I just covered in the Staber light, that is a 4,000 lumen nominal 6,000 hour lamp. But to mix it up a little bit and also reduce loading on this circuit, I put in this 300 watt Iwasaki self-ballasted mercury lamp. So now I've got 2 being used in this light show, not just 1 like I had last year. 300 watts is, of course, a fairly unusual size, at least in the rest of the world. In Japan, because Japan is weird, they had weird stuff like the 200 watt and 300 watt high-pressure mercury lamp sizes, which weren't used anywhere else in the world, except on ships built in Japan. So that's why they were... You actually do find them all over the world, but in the marine industry. So that's why it's the oddball power rating. Of course, this is a 120 volt lamp. But because this fixture normally has 2 of these, I didn't want the lamp just sitting here missing out on Earth hour, so there it is, not missing out at all. I am running this off of my, or one of my, because I've got 2 of them, Ryobi 1.6/1.8 kVA power stations. I'm doing this as a little bit of a load test for the 8 ampere hour batteries, which I got a set of those. Even though I was able to get these for a really good price, it was still $500 for the batteries. But market improvement on their battery-powered 2-stage snowblower versus the 6 ampere hour batteries that it comes with. It really should come with these, even if it does bump the price of the kit up a bit. And of course, so it isn't alone out here, Two aspect wig belt wag beacon. This one is, I think, a traffic control technology. There it is, Traffic Signals Inc. I actually had this beacon for about 7 years now, but this is the first Earth hour it's been part of. Yeah, no, that's not normal to have one of those knockout covers there. I'm going to get a proper gooseneck for when I can find one for a good price. By the way, this one is running 32 watt silent. Vacuum type. Then I dug these out, considering that I got them, 8 years ago. This is a 103 watt, 6,000 hour, 1,000 lumen nominal incandescent street lighting lamp. Yeah, using quite a few street lighting lamps this year. And a 100 watt Lithonia high pressure mercury floodlight, covered that one before. This is my General Electric 150 watt high pressure sodium S56 100 volt lamp ballasted floodlight. This one's got the same zero mercury high xenon gas fill pressure lamp as last year. It's markedly, well, it's a little bit yellower than a regular HPS lamp because you don't get the pressure broadening of on the red end of the sodium spectrum that you get from mercury lamps, because even though the mercury can't be entered or can't be ionized in a sodium plasma because its ionization temperature is about 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit colder, it does influence as a buffer gas the behavior of the discharge, especially increasing the red end emission of the sodium plasma. And of course covered those two before. 70 watt Chinese bucket focus U bucket light, no lens on that one, so that's why it's just a kind of a point of light, because you can see the bare arc tube. That 100 watt metal halide, finally you focus. Another 70 watt cheapy Chinese bucket light, 70 watt HPS again. There's an American Electric 70 watt HPS bucket light with a dual arc tube 40,000 plus hour standby lamp in it. Covered this one before, and of course the power factor correction capacitor, because otherwise the reactor ballasted fixtures like this, power factor kind of sucks. Covered this one before. And focus you, that 50 watt American Electric floodlight. Again, choke ballast with a superimposed igniter. Covered that one before as well. Dual 45 watt PIR38s. 57 watt GLS incandescent, 20 watt gold F2212. So covered these two before, same as last year. The 75 watt GLS and that 110 watt blended mercury BR38. I think Westron for public service lamp. That unknown manufacturer preheat F4212 shop light. That fixture now, that is 2026, has been in the family for 70 years. Because that's when my grandfather built the garage that fixture was used as original equipment in. Yeah, long time. 70 watt, I think Ericsson light without its lens. HPS, of course. To 175 watt mercury Steinco Paras. This one did an emergency ballast transplant this morning because I had another capacitor failure. Most likely, I haven't tested the capacitor yet, but based on lamp behavior, it's probably the capacitor going. Both running Chinesium Philips clear marks, made at the Yaming joint venture lampworks in Malu Town, Shanghai. And then you can see here my GE 175 watt high pressure mercury / metal halide floodlight. That one actually has a metal halide lamp in it. Judging by the construction, that's also probably made at the Yaming Philips lampworks. Focus U, just for some, I think PEC, some third-party branding. And this 35 watt GLS lamp, solar electric, but this one doesn't have a factory code, the sideways T marking. So this one is from when it was solar electric and prior to the Philips acquisition in 1980. So this lamp's probably from the 1970s. 40 watt GLS. 40 watt GLS. 29 watt halogen. 40 watt GLS. 29 watt halogen. 33 watt sign. There's my Dimplex Super Safe Light with its original Thomas branded low pressure sodium lamp, although the lamp was made by Philips, of course, as you can tell by the dimples. There's my second 3-color head, Traffic Signals Inc., running 33 watt sign lamps. And my Solarc 5K solar board with one of those 60 watt cage filament, quote unquote reproduction tungsten filament lamps. And the batteries that are running some of the lights outside. Although because these have the 2 different BMS versions, that one has a settable address with dip switches, these other ones are auto configuring. They don't seem to play all that nice, or these 2 don't play nice with that one, so that one is actually getting moved with the 5K to its own dedicated system, and then I'm getting a Solarc 8K to work with the other 2. Plus probably another one of these if I can get one for a good price, and if it plays nice with these ones. And a 9 watt Enertron compact fluorescent adapter with a, don't remember what manufacturer lamp that is, but because that lamp runs basically all the time, they last a while because there's very few starts on it. Traffic Control Technologies dual incandescent wigwag flasher beacon, running the same 44 watt Philips / solar electric lamps as the signal, the Durasig outside. 22 watt magnetically ballasted preheat circ line. And my lamp demo board with a different selection of lamps compared to last year. This one is a Long Life Energy Saver Q logo 36 watt lamp, which is a fairly unusual power rating for reduced power 40 watt equivalent lamps. Normally you see 34 watts, especially of newer ones, sometimes 35. For oddball manufacturers, 35 seems a lot more common. 36 is quite rare. Then that is one of those 44 watt solar electric traffic signal lamps. See the sideways T logo for the Warren, Pennsylvania Lamp Works. So this lamp is made between 1980 and 1991. This is a Philips SL table light, or table lamp, compact fluorescent lamp. The reason they call it that is because this is extremely lightweight compared to the rest of the SL series of lamps, because those had magnetic ballast usually, and glass jars covering the discharge tube. So this one has no glass jar, and the base is plastic and has an electronic ballast, so it's substantially lighter, and that's why these are explicitly marketed as you can use these in otherwise tip-over prone fixtures. And this is one of those 40 watt corridor hall lamps, most likely made by Marvel, judging by the etch. These 2, which are really interesting, these are made by what was it, American Standard. These are quite interesting lamps because normally these, which are a 20 watt A17, so a 20 A17 lamp, interesting enough because otherwise an A17 envelope is quite rare. Normally these lamps are gas filled, usually with a gas mix containing hydrogen, because they're designed for moving messages or moving message signs, and so they need the filament to go out very fast in order to prevent smearing of the message on the sign. And these American Standard ones are really weird because they're vacuum, and so they run cool enough that you can touch them. And it's the case both with this clear and this frosted one. I know these have been in a thing among lamp collectors for quite a while, and actually some of these that I got 17 years ago, 16. It's been a while. Then this is a Philips made in London, Ontario. A Canaderp lamp, It's one of these T19, the quote-unquote square bulb. October of 1994. And this real weirdo, this is a Maxlight magnetically ballasted compact fluorescent lamp. What's extremely interesting about this, and these lamps are on their own are interesting enough because they're quite rare, magnetically ballasted of course, and the starter is in that little cylinder thing right there, is that this uses a cool green phosphorus. It's actually quite a greenish cool green phosphorus. It's extremely rare to see a cool green compact fluorescent. I mean, the linear fluorescent lamps are rare enough. But yeah, interesting smorgasbord of lamps. 22 watt circline. Forgot to turn the incandescent lamp on this year, so next year, knock on wood. And this dual manual preheat F15T8 desk light. Had this thing for quite a few years. With a mix of a Philips made Do-It branded cool white lamp and a guaranteed cool green, which isn't as green as the Maxlight lamp I just showed, but the color on its own is quite good, and the color combination of these two lamps is actually very good. So definitely, if we ever get some sanity in the lighting industry again and start making these lamps again, yeah, definitely bring cool greens back into production because it's a really good color actually. And almost forgot, 3 of these 36A19 36 watt street railway lamps. Made in the Hungarian, most likely Budapest, but it could also be Nagykanizsa Lampworks in Hungary, because they're tungsten branded. And by the time these lamps were made in 1995, I think May of 1995 to be precise, or 2005 I mean, but 1995 is also a possibility. In both those years, General Electric of course owned tungsten. And actually, quite good lamps. So you can see there that little white cylinder around one of the halide wires. That is a Ballatini fuse, which is Ballatini, little tiny glass balls. That's what it means in Italian. That is as an arc suppressing mechanism, because these lamps are designed to be burned 5 in series on 600 volt nominal traction supplies for trains. And that's also why it's NYCTA branded, which is New York City Transportation Authority. Now, of course, the Metropolitan Transportation Authority, or money-taking authority, as it's also justifiably known. Because they were one of the principal buyers of these lamps, although this lamp was never in their custody, because I got this from ETR Lighting. Of all kinds of good stuff, but not cheap. And also, last but not least, that 45 watt R20 spotlight lamp. Incandescent, of course.